Hey guys, how's it going? I hope everybody's doing well. I personally am very excited because this weekend is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony and show. And of course, myself being a very big Green Day fan, I have to be very excited because they're going to be, of course, inducted into the Hall of Fame, and they're also going to be playing. And actually, the show already happened a few weeks ago, but the show is actually going to be shown on TV for the first time this weekend. I believe it's on Saturday night. So of course I'm very excited about that, and it also gives me a good excuse to show you my entire Green Day collection. And when I say collection, I mean everything: my CDs, my vinyl, my DVDs, everything. So I think this is going to be a long video, or I might actually end up splitting it into different parts. I still don't know how I'm going to arrange the video, so we'll just play it by ear. But anyways, before getting started into my collection, just as a disclaimer, most of my Green Day collection is actually on CD, not on vinyl. And that's because I grew up listening to Green Day in the 90s, and vinyl was, of course, very difficult to find. So in most of the cases, I started collecting Green Day on CD. And even to this day, if Green Day came out with a new CD tomorrow, I would find it first on CD, and that's mostly out of nostalgia because I like the CD format when it comes to Green Day. But that being said, let's go ahead and get started with my Green Day collection. And let's start off with some vinyl. Actually, this is the very first release by Green Day, and it's called 1000 Hours. This is a 7-inch EP from 1989 on Lookout Records. This is the back, and Lookout Records, of course, being the first independent record label by Green Day. And it's a 4-song EP, and this is actually one of the early reissues of the 1000 Hours, and you can tell because it has the old Berkeley address from Lookout Records. And I don't know if you could tell in the picture, they actually have the first drummer, the first original drummer of the band. And it comes in just a regular black vinyl. This is actually side A with the custom labels, and side B. Actually, this one might be side. Yeah, this is side A. So like I said, the very first release by Green Day, it is very raw sounding, so it sounds very different to what Green Day sounds now, but you can still hear some of the harmonies that Green Day is very known for. So it's a very cool EP to have. And of course that was released before their first album, which is called 39 Smooth, which I don't have actually. It's one of the albums that is very difficult to find. What I do have is this one. It's 1039 Smoothed Out Slappy Hours. This one is on CD, and this one is from 1990 on Lookout Records also. And there's the back of the CD. And a lot of people think that this is the first Green Day album, which it is, and this is actually a collection of the first Green Day album plus a couple of their EPs that were released before. One of those is the 1000 Hours EP. Next, I also have another copy of 1039 Smooth Out Slappy Hours. This is the reissue from 2004, also on Lookout Records. And what's cool about this re-release is, sorry for the noise, it came in the different format. It came in like a digipack. It's not in a jewel case. And it comes with additional photos of the band and a booklet, and it's also an enhanced CD, so it comes with some extra videos and just a few extra things that if you're a Green Day fan, it's cool to have. Next, or actually, before we move into the next album, which is Kerplunk, I wanted you guys to listen a quick clip of one of the songs from 1039 Smooth Out Slappy Hours. This is actually one of my favorite songs from Green Day ever, and the song is called The Judge's Daughter.
Princess in the schoolgirl dream, may I please be
And again, that was Green Day, or early Green Day, with The Judge's Daughter from 1039 Smoothed Out Slappy Hours. And as you can tell, it is a bit of a raw sounding Green Day, but like I said before, you could still hear a lot of the harmonies and the poppy sounds that Green Day brought to the table even earlier on in their careers. A lot of people say that they sold out later on when they signed into the major label and started writing these poppy songs like Basket Case or When I Come Around. Green Day has always sounded poppy. They were always pop punk. They were never hardcore punk or regular punk rock ever. So I don't see why people really say that they sold out and they changed their music style. They always sounded like that. But anyways, that's for another discussion. Next, before they released their second full-length studio album, they released another 7-inch EP. And this one is from 1990. This one is called Sweet Children. And the original of this was released by Skeen Records. This is actually a reissue of the EP on Reprise Records. Later on, Reprise got all the rights for all the Green Day albums, so they were released on Reprise, all the reissues at least. And this one is cool because it has also My Generation. It's a cover song from The Who, of course. And it actually says it here, right here. It says originally by The Who, obviously. And it comes with regular black vinyl with the custom labels. So it sounds very similar to the very early releases, like 1,000 Hours. This one was from 1990, before they released their second full-length studio album, again on Lookout Records, which is this one right here, is Kerplunk. From 1992, like I said, on Lookout Records. There's the back. And very similar sounding to the first album, maybe a little bit more mature, a lot of better song lyrics, and a great album. To this day, I still listen to this one very often. It's a great pop punk album by Green Day. Actually, this one got re-released recently on vinyl. It's one of the few albums that I have on vinyl from Green Day. It's right here. And I bought it mainly because it's a really cool re-release. And this one, it got re-released last year in 2014 on Reprise Records again. Here's the back. And what I liked about this one is that it came in really cool colored vinyl with the inner sleeves. I think I've shown this record before. There's the colored vinyl. How cool is that? It looks great. And it sounds really great too. A great reissue from Reprise Records. Actually, this is the most famous Green Day album. A lot of people that grew up in the 90s will recognize it. This is Dookie. And of course, this is their first major label album. And there's the back. And you've heard me talk about before about the fact that in the back of this CD doesn't show the Ernie from Sesame Street. And I actually got a different copy of Dookie that does have it. So it's pretty cool to see the differences in both CDs. And what can I say about this album? It just has some of the most recognized and classic Green Day songs. It has like Welcome to Paradise and Basket Case, When I Come Around, Long View. It has so many great songs. It's just a classic album. There's the inside, and I don't know if I mentioned this. This one is from 1994, again on Reprise Records. And in this album, you'll hear a lot more refined songs. It's a little bit more produced, I guess, but it sounds great. It's a terrific album. It's one of my favorite by them. And actually, let's go ahead and listen to a quick clip from one of the songs in the album.
I declare I don't care no more. I'm burning up and out and growing bored in my smoked out boring room. My hair is shaking in my eyes, dragging my feet to hit the streets at night. Drive along this shit town.
And of course, Dookie being such an incredibly popular album, they released a bunch of singles of that album, starting off with Longview from 1994, again with Lookout Records. And there's the back, probably one of the most famous Green Day songs. And I love seeing the alternative artwork from Dookie. I love that. It has a lot of like hidden jokes in it. Next, Basket Case, also from 1994. And I bought this off Amazon fairly recently, I think it was last year, and thinking that it would be the limited edition one. It's supposed to come numbered here, but it didn't. But I didn't pay much for it, so I didn't really care. There's the inside, again with the alternative artwork. And this single has a great B-side, which is called 409 in Your Coffee Maker. It's a remade version of the song that was released on Kerplunk, and it sounds great. I don't know why they didn't put it in this album. Also another version of Basket Case. I think this is the European version of the CD single, also from '94 on Reprise Records. And this one comes in like a digipack with different songs or different B-sides. There's the inside. Of course, When I Come Around, also on CD single. And this one is also from '94. Yeah, '94. Also on Reprise Records. Again, more alternative or additional artwork from Dookie. And finally, Welcome to Paradise. And this one is the numbered edition. I got 10949. I don't know how many they made. And there's the back. I think this is also the European version or the UK version. And there's the inside. Oops. There's the booklet. Some additional artwork. How cool is that? I love the artwork from Dookie. Anyways, so that's the Dookie era. Actually, to close up the Dookie era, they also released a live EP called Live Trax, and this one is from 1995, also on Reprise Records. And this is a Japanese-only release, as you can see, obviously with the Obi. And there's the back. It's a 6-song EP. All live songs from the Dookie and earlier eras. Okay, so Insomniac out of 1995 was obviously a very direct response to all the critics that said that Green Day, when they signed to a major label, they sold out, that they weren't punk enough, that they were making music just for the money. And like I said, it's a response to all those critics, and they came out with this one, Insomniac, again from 1995 on Reprise Records also. There's the back. And the result is a very, very dark album by Green Day. It's a very hard rock album with a lot of very dark lyrics. Extremely dark lyrics, actually. Songs about rejection, songs about angst and apathy and craziness. And I don't know if that's the reason why, but I love this album. This is by far my favorite Green Day album. I love angry Green Day. This is one of the reasons why I became such a big fan of them. Like I said, a great album. Still a little bit of the pop-punk influences here and there. Fantastic collection of songs. Let's actually listen to a quick clip from one of my favorite songs in this CD. The song is called Stuart and the Avenue. And again, that was Green Day with Stuart and the Avenue from Insomniac. And Insomniac wasn't a huge or a very popular album really compared to Dookie, but it still managed to sell pretty well, mainly because it came right after Dookie. So they released a bunch of singles of Insomniac, starting off with Geek Stink Breath, the first CD single from the album. And like I said before, I just love the alternative artwork of this album. Actually, I have 2 copies of this one. I don't know why. The next single was Brain Stew, Jaded. You might recognize the guitar strumming or the guitar parts of this song. They still play it pretty often in the radio. There's the back. And all of these are from 1995 on Reprise Records. They actually released a special edition of Brain Stew, Jaded. I think I shown this one before. Again, sorry for the noise. This is a limited edition CD single for the song in a brain-shaped CD. I don't know if you can see it there, but the CD is cut in the shape of the brain. Next, and the final single of Insomniac was released in a 2-part. This is Stuck With Me, Part 1 and Part 2 with the hype stickers. And Part 2 is the live version of the song with a couple of different live songs as well. It's Part 1 and Part 2. So those are the singles of Insomniac. Of course, after they released the album, they also, or Reprise Records released a couple of live EPs. This one is called Bowling, 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 Parking, Parking. It's a very strange album title. This is a live EP from 1996 on Reprise Records also. Some songs of Dookie and also from Insomniac. Live, I believe, mostly from Europe. Another EP, or another live EP, is this one. It's Foot in Mouth. And this one was released exclusively in Japan. And this one is from 1997, also on Reprise Records. And it also, very similar to Bowling, 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 Parking, Parking. It has a lot of songs from Dookie and Insomniac. And there's the back. And this is actually a numbered edition. I don't know how many they were made. Probably a bunch. And actually, I bought this one a long time ago when I was getting into Green Day. And it's from that era too. And this one is called the Fully Illustrated Book and Interview Disc. And this one is not an official release. This is bootleg, I would say, but it looks pretty good to be a bootleg. And I found it at a record store. This says the unauthorized edition. And like I said, this is an interview disc. And this is the back. And this CD sucks. It's not good. I think I listened to it once. It's an interview from a radio station, I believe. There's the CD. But nothing really remarkable being said in the CD or in the audio. I guess I bought it basically because I'm a huge Green Day fan, so I had to have it. And the book is actually pretty cool. That I will give them to them. The book has a lot of pictures and it has a lot of pages and shows some influences from Green Day. Of course, some bands from that era. And a lot of additional pictures from the Dookie and Insomniac era. So it's still cool to have. It's just not an official release. So that wraps up my Insomniac era collection from Green Day.